All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0, of course, brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba, European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. That's how you'll enjoy the NBA Finals tonight, Game 3. Make sure you always drink responsibly, and don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Joining us now is our pal Evan Cohen, ESPN Radio, unsportsmanlike every morning, 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern time. All-around good guy, a mensch. Evan, how are you today? Hello.
Zaz, you know what's amazing? Today, I had dog on our show.
I saw him. Looking forward to going back and watching.
And you have your dog on you, it looks like, currently.
That's right. I was just petting him. He was up on my side here looking for that affection. That is true. That's a good eye out of you, Evan. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yes.
I mean, is there anyone look, Jerry West, 86 years old.
He had not passed at the time we had dog on. Can I tell you? So this is Mad Dog Chris Russo.
Really?
So he passed. I want to say at like 9, or at least the announcement was like at 9:42, 43 a.m. Eastern. So dog was on at about, I don't know, let's call it 9:20, and no joke, he was praising Jerry West during the interview because we were asking him about the finals. And he brought up how Stan Van Gundy said that Kyrie and Luka are the best offensive backcourt ever. And said, please, have you heard of Jerry West and Gail Goodrich? And then started praising Jerry West. He dies 20 minutes later. There's an argument dog killed him.
I mean, not that he friends with him or whatever, worked with him, but there are very few people, I think, that are better to have on in the media landscape to talk about someone like Jerry West than Dog.
Well, we had him, but he was talking about Jerry West. Sick irony in this. Before, obviously, he sadly passed today. We had PJ Carlesimo on as it happened. I brought it up to PJ Carlesimo, and this was interesting because I'm in a tricky spot.
Hold on, you had to break it to PJ?
Yes.
Oh boy.
But here's the thing. So I was debating in my head: do I bring this up? Do I not bring it up? Do I wait till he's off the air? And I'm like, I got to just pass this along. And his reaction was, "Yeah, unfortunately, we've known this was coming for a while now." So I guess those who are of, like the older generation of the NBA knew that unfortunately he was very sick and that this was probably right around the corner, unfortunately.
It's always weird doing shows on days like today. Like I was on with Chris Carlin, and early in our show a few weeks ago, Bill Walton passes away. So, Of course, the rest of the show were dedicated to Bill Walton. Luckily for me, I'm in tune and up. I could talk about Bill Walton right on the spot, but that's always a tricky spot in a situation like this, especially if you're talking about a guy from a couple generations ago. We then got to pivot and dedicate the whole show to him, Yeah.
Well, in the case for you and I, because we're basically right around the same age, like these are people that we know of, we know about, but we didn't see play in their prime.
Right.
It's not like, you're sitting there and saying, oh, I remember when I went to this game and West did X, Y, and Z. You went to Lakers games against the Heat, or, in my case, the Heat or the Knicks growing up in New York. But it's like, I'm not thinking Jerry West in that moment, obviously, in that spot.
Yep. Let's do some fun stuff first, and then we'll circle back to the main event, which, of course, is tonight, Game 3. Number 1, you guys do on Wednesdays, you do your personality draft on Unsportsmanlike. I love the personality draft. But would it surprise you to know that I'm waiting for the person every time you're going through the list? I'm waiting for the day because you can't repeat personalities, right?
Correct.
So I'm waiting. Am I going to be last picked in kickball? All right. I'm waiting for me to be selected with one of the personality drafts. I mean, come on now.
All right. Good job by you bringing this up. Very smart backhanded move here. So now let's talk about what would the category be in which you would be drafted. Because the whole point is we pick ESPN personalities, but it's off of like something going on, right? So like we picked it today based on coaches, like who would you want to coach a team that hasn't been a coach, right? So you're not picking PJ Carlesimo who's been a coach, Rex Ryan. You're not picking some of these. You have to pick somebody that's not a coach, right? So in what topic or what theme would you think you should be picked?
Well, maybe if hopefully the Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup and you do who would you want to be at a championship parade with? maybe then I pop up in something like that.
Now, you and I have been to events together. Let's just go through these in our life. Now, why? Because I'm curious as to why I would pick you in this spot. Let's see. The first big event, non-game we ever went to was a party in which somehow you ended up sitting on my lap on a cab on the way home, to which you fell asleep and went the wrong direction at about 2:00 in the morning in Detroit at about 3 degrees. That's number one.
I didn't fall asleep. I'm sorry. I did fall asleep, but we didn't go the wrong direction. The story is, because I fell asleep, luckily the cab driver didn't take me somewhere and murder me. He took me to where I was supposed to go.
Right. So you want this celebratory thing. Then we were at a big party a couple of months ago where you're just peppering me, just destroying me because I live too far from the studio and my co-host is too tall. Yeah. You're not a barrel of laughs to go to a parade or a party with this. I'm not either, but I mean, the parade I'm not into for you with that.
What about who would you want to go to a concert with? I'm a great concert goer. You want to see Pearl Jam? You go with me.
You could say that, but you've asked me to get you Pearl Jam tickets.
That's right. You didn't come through.
I did not. I told you it was going to be impossible. So if I want to go to a concert with you, I have to provide the tickets to you.
Well, I'm not the producer of this show, all right? Tell Pat Costello, somebody come up with the topic where maybe I'm a good participant. You know what? How about Amber Wilson? She's waiting as well. When are you going to select her? She's a fun girl.
Have we never selected Amber for anything?
Nope. She's waiting to, patiently.
Well, that's a bad job by us.
All right.
Come on. You.
All right. I'm going to be waiting, though.
If we do a draft, what ESPN personalities that hosted locally together would you want to recreate nationally? I would hope you and Amber get picked.
There you go.
Problem.
There you go. Now we're cooking. Evan, how much attention are you giving on Unsportsmanlike? Are you spending a few minutes on the Florida Panthers?
We've had a couple of guests on. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm the biggest hockey guy. We've talked about playoff Bob. We talked about the other day that the fan going up against the glass during the coach's interview. Spent some more time on the Oilers fan that went viral, maybe more than any Panthers fan.
Great fan.
Very good fan. But nobody can find that fan, right?
No, that's not true. She made an appearance on Spittin' Chicklets with Paul Bissonnette and Ryan Whitney the other day. They got her.
Oh, they got her?
Yep, they got her.
And what did she say? I didn't even know this.
Well, first of all, she starts the interview. For people who don't know, Oiler fan last round, pulls up the sweater. She got the boobs hanging out. Tremendous fan. And so they got her on the show, and it was a surprise. The producers surprised them. They couldn't believe that they got her. And she got the sunglasses and a hat on. She's like in a Groucho Marx mask, essentially. But then eventually she takes the hat off and the glasses. Said she's been laying low. That she didn't expect it to go viral. It's a whole thing. Said she's been laying low.
Wow. I did not know this. So we've given some attention. I'm not going to sit there and say that we have given as much attention as you would like us to give or South Florida would like us to give, but we have given some attention. I think that Bobrovsky, obviously doing what he has done, has been a huge theme. Smalls, Michelle Smallman, our co-host, loves Matthew Tkachuk. I think he was on the Blues back in the day when she was covering the NHL. So there's
he was not, but I think her father was. I think his father was.
Oh, Keith Tkachuk was on the Blues. I'm sorry. Yes, my bad. So I think there's been some, but not as much as you would like.
Okay, that's all right. I'm covered
already. Where do you think this title ranks? So if we look at, I moved to South Florida in 2003. So we've got the Marlins title in 2003. We got the three heats in 06, 12, and 13. Nothing Dolphins, and then this. Where does this rank? If you were to rank South Florida titles, let's call it last 21 years. Yeah. Where does this rank? Assuming they win it all.
Oh, it's ahead of the Marlins. So at worst, it's top 4. Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, first of all, go back to the Marlins during that season. The playoff games, you had 60,000 people, obviously, in Joe Robbie Stadium. But during a regular season game, you couldn't get anyone to come out. At the arena here.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
But Dontrell was pitching. That's it.
Dontrell, when they fired Torborg, hired McKeon, Dontrell and Cabrera come up, May 11th, something like that, 03, if I'm not mistaken.
That. Yeah.
They come up, and I think every time Dontrell pitched, you get 30,000 plus. And that's it. Yeah. But the playoffs, I mean, I was at all the games. You were there. all the home games. I mean, you're talking about the Bonds, Sosa, Yankees. That is a tremendous back-to-back-to-back.
Yeah. No, from a fan perspective, the town way more into it the whole year. Way more into what the Panthers are doing than the Marlins in 03. I think this is easily ahead of the Marlins. Obviously, it's crazy the Marlins won at Yankee Stadium. I mean, but this would easily Again, I'm trying to win game 3 tomorrow, Evan. All right. I'm not counting my chickens. This would be more impressive than 03 Marlins. And yeah, I mean, it'd have to be behind all 3 of the Heat titles. I mean, you're talking LeBron, you're talking Shaq. I don't know how it surpasses those. But for me, from a fan perspective, it's very, very high for me. Very high.
Why? Just because they lost last year, 96? Why?
Well, number one, I've never experienced it. All right. And I'm a Panther fan my entire life. And yeah, when you count 96, I mean, it took them 26 years to win another playoff series. That's a prison sentence, okay? You murder someone, you get out quicker than waiting 26 years. So I've been with it through thick and thin.
We found the ESPN personality draft. The most likely ESPN personality to murder someone. With my first pick, I take Jonathan ZASLOW. But he'll be out before the next time the Panthers win.
That's right. So, I mean, I've been in the dumps for years. And then to experience this. And here's the kicker, Evan. And hopefully you will experience this one day as well, because I know you got a son who's growing up. This is the first time in my life that I'm experiencing this fandom with my teenage boys. And that's a different ballgame. When you grow up a sports fan and then you experience it with your kids. And of course, they were way too young. They never experienced the Heat winning. My oldest was 4 years old. Right. They've never experienced a championships. That's what takes it over the top for me. So it's an extremely meaningful one.
Very good point. So, but just to put a bow on this, theoretically, if I put the Panthers title, hypothetically, in 03, and I put the Marlins title now, Marlins would be there because of the father-son part of it.
It depends, because was I as invested in the Marlins all these years when they've been shitty the same way that I have been with the Panthers? I mean, did the ownership suck the life out of me all these years? Like they have essentially. So there's some mitigating factors there,
Yeah.
And I care more about the Panthers than I do the Marlins too.
Well, that gives you something there. All right.
Hey, is this series over? Mavericks.
Oh yeah. I've been thinking. So obviously,
but hold on. There's a difference, right, between is the series over and believing the Celtics are going to win. Those are two different things.
You mean, do I think the Mavs are going to come back and win, and that's why it's
over?
But
the point being, you could believe the Celtics are going to win this series, but that doesn't mean this series is over. You pick the Celtics where the series started. Is the series over? No, they got to play it.
Okay, a couple of things on this. I've been thinking about this, knowing that I was coming on your show today, and I am a Heat fan like you, not as deep as you have been over the course of your whole life. But since I moved to South Florida, I fell in love with the Heat.
Right? Top fan. I mean, come on.
Right. I know. But you also know, to be fair, now, in my front-running nature, I didn't front-run with the Heat because they weren't that good when I got there, to be fair.
What year did you start? 03?
Yeah. I mean, I moved to South Florida in March of 03. So that's Karan's rookie season, 02-03, right? The end of it. Right. And then the Miami Heat, as an organization, were so great to our radio station, ESPN West Palm, and I'm like, that's it. Like, I didn't like the Knicks growing up in New York. I was never a Knicks guy. So I'm like, I fell in love with this organization. I'm like, they're so nice. Like, they want us to be a part of this. I'm in, right? And then, all of a sudden, this guy Wade got drafted, then Shaq, then LeBron, then Bosh, et cetera, and Jimmy, et cetera. So I was thinking about this and knowing I was coming on today. It's amazing how much the Heat have won the Celtics the title. And let me explain. If Jimmy Butler doesn't kick the crap out of Drew Holiday with the Milwaukee Bucks don't start having a wandering eye. If Joe Cronin and the Portland Trailblazers decide to trade Damian Lillard to the Miami Heat, or if the Heat decide to go even further into the negotiations or the offer and get Damian Lillard, Drew Holiday's on the Bucks this year. If Drew Holiday is not on the Celtics, they don't win the championship. Drew Holiday was traded because Jimmy Butler showed some flaws in him, and they thought that maybe possibly Damian Lillard could be better. If that does not happen, Zaz, I do not believe the Boston Celtics are winning the championship this year.
Yeah.
And so when I look at what's happened, I have been all season long saying, I don't think they're going to win the title. I think they're missing that grimy. I think they're missing their Udonis, right?
Me too. Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm.
And I've been wrong because they're just better than everyone else. And the reality is right now, as dumb as this sounds, but it is the truth, and it probably makes me look at the Heat a little differently. They just have 6 players when everybody's healthy that are good on offense and good on defense. In 2 cases, elite players in Tatum and Brown, and in 1 case, elite in his role in Holiday. Like, it's unbelievable what they have put together, and it makes me maybe question a little bit some of the stuff that we've seen with the Heat. Like, I loved Caleb Martin and Haywood Highsmith. They're, like, not good all the time on offense and defense. They're just, like, not. They're not starters necessarily on great teams. And so I think this is over because I just don't think Boston has bad players. And that sounds dumb, but there are some title teams that have had bad. The Heat had not great players going to the finals 2 of the last 5 years. Guys that you would look at and be like, I mean, your level of dislike for Kyle Lowry is so enormous. Right, but you would deem him not to be that good, yet he's the starting point guard or one of the main contributors, a starter for a finals team. Gabe Vincent, very nice player. Is Gabe Vincent even in the same ballpark as the 6 Celtics starters? Not even close.
Right.
Jimmy is. Bam is. Tyler on offense is. But these guys are just good on offense and defense. I think this is over. I don't think Dallas has enough good players to match them.
So you think you do not believe the Mavericks are going to win tonight?
I do not.
Okay. Oh, well, if you think the series is over, that's the right answer. Okay.
So here, as we sit here today, neither of us, to my knowledge, are aware of Porzingis' status for tonight.
Oh, I can't imagine we see him again.
See, I think he's going to play tonight. Here's my thought process. I wonder, and obviously I could be dead wrong. I wonder if the Celtics look at tonight as Game 7. Get him tonight. Because if you go up 3-0, you're not losing the series. You're just not. And you can sit there and say, well, why not save him? If it's 2-2 going back to Boston, give him some more time. I may look at it a little differently. You know what? It's going to sound harsh. If you play tonight, Porzingis, and we win, theoretically, if you're a Boston fan, I don't care if you never play basketball again at that point. You just got us a title. If this comes in, if this affects next season, and I don't mean to sound harsh, this is what he's saying, right? Porzingis is like, unless I'm dead, I want to play. And that's why they took the decision out of his hands, which you respect.
Man, I never understand that, the taking the decision out of his hands. He is a grown man. He is an adult. And you're saying, oh, his long-term health is more important. What if this grown man, this adult, what if what's most important to him is, I want to play and win a championship right now? I hate the taking it out of his hands. These are grown men. It should be his decision.
But guys, I don't think you have to say what if. I think it's pretty clear. Kristaps Porzingis, amongst all of the criticism that this guy has had since he was with the Knicks, and then the Mavs, obviously, and the Wizards, and now the Celtics, he clearly wants to win a championship right this second and doesn't give a crap if he plays basketball again. Now, that also helps that he's guaranteed 2 years, $60 million, whatever it is. But did you say that about Bosh? Because that I understand when the decision is
come on, that's life and death. That's life and death. That's a completely different thing.
Okay, but he's a grown man too, and Chris Bosh is one of the smartest people we've ever seen in sports.
You can't have someone die at the workplace.
I agree. I do think it's different. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page on that. I'm telling you. So tonight, I think a couple of things. One, I actually have a weird feeling Porzingis plays. The other thing is I think Kyrie shoots a 3 to start the game immediately. They run a play for him to get him a 3. And I think Tatum has his big moment game tonight. I think Tatum's going to have 30-plus tonight. I could also see both teams going small. Play Tatum at center. And I pitched to Tim Legler the other day, what about playing Luka at center? Because I think because here's the way my brain works when it comes to basketball. I always go to one question. What would Spo do? If things weren't working, he'd play LeBron at 5. And he'd be like, "This, what is happening? Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is weird. I don't know how to guard this. What am I supposed to do?" He played LeBron near the basket as much as he possibly could, and then just put shooters around him because he knew, Luka obviously a way better shooter than LeBron, but playing Luka near the basket and forcing them to either go big or have to go small against him and not just keep I think you go small tonight with Luka at the 5 if you want to win in spurts. I don't mean for the entirety of the game. I think the problem with that is that then the Celtics go Tatum at the 5, and then you have a big problem because the Celtics are just good.
Evan, let's talk a little bit about Kyrie here. Obviously, I don't like him,
Neither do I.
but this past year he's been fantastic. He looks like at the very least he looks like a pleasant person. When any other time you look at him, you say that guy's a miserable prick. That has not been the case this year. Okay, so small sample size, but I can give him a little bit of credit for that. If Kyrie Irving, if he plays poor again tonight and they go down 3-0, I believe all the goodwill he's built up this year gone. I don't want him in the biggest moment after everything that's happened this year, and for him to go out with a whimper in these NBA Finals and against the Celtics, where, he looked in his head those first 2 games. He was horrible. I don't ever want to hear about this Kyrie Irving. He's the most skilled player. Who gives a shit? Is there anything more meaningless than Kyrie being the most skilled player ever when he's horrible in the NBA Finals? Who cares?
Right. So I think sometimes we use code words for basketball players that we don't actually trust to do something, or athletes we don't trust. Like, for example, if you say to me, who's the most talented person you've seen play basketball in person on a regular basis? My answer would surprise you. And the answer I'm going to give you, I played for the Heat for one single season. The answer I'm going to give you is going to be someone that you're going to say, imagine what he could have been. And my answer is Lamar Odom, the most talented guy I've ever seen play basketball. There was literally nothing he couldn't do. That doesn't mean he is as accomplished as he should have been. That just like Aaron Rodgers, best thrower of the football. That just means he didn't win as much as Brady. Right? Like that's all you're saying. Kyrie Irving is the most skilled player. That just means he's screwed up doing other things. You never say Michael Jordan's the most skilled player. You never say LeBron's the most skilled player. You just say this guy won 6, that guy won 4. Steph Curry. Okay, we say greatest shooter. We never say most talented, greatest skill. No, he's won 4 and he's won Finals MVP and 2 regular season MVPs unanimously. Like when the guy's really good and accomplished and lived up to what he should do, you never have the other terms. Kyrie Irving is given the other terms because everyone knows, and people just don't want to say it. As great as he is, he has not lived up to what we thought because he wasted the last 5 or 6 years of his entire career, and he did it. And I agree with you. If you just woke up in 2024 and you never heard of this person before, and you saw everything he said, heard everything he said, and watched him play basketball, you would think he should win the Citizenship Award. It's unfortunate that at no point has he come out and said, the person I was then that spread anti-Semitic messages, the person I was then that went to city council meeting Zooms during games, the person I was then that asked out of this place and that place and called the media pawns in his game, that's not me now. And I apologize for anybody I hurt. I didn't do it intentionally. I was in a different state of mind, different thought process then than I am now. I'm a much better person now. I hope you can judge me on my surface today versus what I was then. One time. Give me that one time. I'm not saying I'm going to forget, but I can move on. The person and the player that he's been this year, agreed, Zaz. You said it. I don't want to say likable because I can't get myself to say that. Right. But I get why the Mavericks want to employ him. Just acknowledge the harm you actually did to people, whether intentionally or not in the past. But you're right. If you now are not that great at basketball in these biggest of moments, everything gets quiet. And then we're going to have the conversation in the offseason. We're way ahead of ourselves here. We're going to have the conversation in the offseason, though. Should the Mavs sell high? Because you start to wonder, is this really who he is? Is he going to revert back? If he gets blamed for all of this, how is he going to handle this? Right? I mean, that's a whole other...
Well, that's why those first 2 games in Boston, it's like, all right, he's done and said all the right things leading up to this. How's he going to respond? Well, he didn't respond to the crowd, so that's good. But, boy, he didn't show up on the floor.
But he brought the... Again, these are where the moments happen with him that you're like, what is wrong with you? Why would you go after the Boston fans?
Oh, after game 1 that they weren't loud enough?
The dumbest quote I've ever seen in my life. Kyrie, just sit there and say what you want about life and everything like that as long as it's not harmful. I'm not saying shut up and dribble. I would never do that. But there's 2 groups of people you don't go after as an athlete, the fans and the media. And he's gone after both of them. What? You want everyone turning after you? Turning on you? It's ridiculous.
Evan, you think the series is over? You believe the Celtics are going to win tonight? Give me a reason real quick here to even watch it then.
Well, I do think the idea of Porzingis not being 100%, the Mavs having struggled with offense the last 2 games, I think provides something for us as basketball fans where we can go into game 3 tonight and expect the unexpected. Different lineups I think both teams will use. I expect Tim Hardaway Jr. to be dusted off at some point. I was making this point on the air this week. Again, what would Spo do is everything, right? For me, Spo is the king of the dust off, where he looks down at the bench. He's like, you haven't played in a month. You go out there. Then Mike Miller hits like 6 threes with 1 shoe, right? Shane Battier having big game. Dexter Pittman starting a playoff game. Like, these are the things that Spo, Rashard Lewis, was so good at, and just like stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's cliche, but Eric Spoelstra mastered that and has mastered that, where he just has a gut feeling like, hey, I'm going to use you tonight and you're going to be great. I think Dallas has to have that. Tim Hardaway Jr., Dwight Powell, whomever it may be. Dwight Powell's not getting you to watch, but you get my point. That I think we have a chance tonight to see things that we haven't seen in the first couple of games, to give us storylines maybe tomorrow that we weren't expecting.
Evan, you said it all. Now I just got to wait with bated breath when I'm going to get in on this unsportsmanlike personality draft. Every Wednesday, I'm going to be locked in waiting for it now.
Well, there's another topic I could potentially draft you with if we ever get to it. We haven't talked about this. Something wrestling related.
Oh, okay.
I took my son to the Westchester County Center to a WWE event a few weeks ago.
How was it?
Excellent. I did not realize the house shows now.
House shows are great.
Have the regular card. I figured it was like you and I in the ring.
Nope. House shows are great. Long matches, lots of interaction with the crowd.
Cody Rhodes was there. Jey Uso was there.
Yeah,
that's a good card.
Any of the women? Which of the women wrestlers do you like?
Cade or Cargill? What's her name? Jade Cargill.
Jade Cargill, sure.
Very good. Very good. Good card. I was into it.
That's a good job out of you.
Real to me, some may say.
All right, so it's still real to me. Come on now, Evan. Excellent job. Appreciate you coming on as always, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.